Rise from your grave.
In 1988, the world rose from their grave to rescue Zeus's daughter in the ancient Greece brawler Altered Beast. While the game was a smash hit in the arcades, most people were first exposed to Altered Beast with the Sega Genesis version. What set Altered Beast apart from the many other beat-em-up games from the era was both the setting and one key gameplay changer, the ability to alter into a beast. Kicking a blue wolf would release a spirit orb that would buff up the unnamed hero. The less clothed you were, the more powerful your attacks became. For example, enemies that would take 3 hits normally to kill would now only take 1 or 2 depending on your brawn. After 2 muscle intensifying orbs were collected, upon finding the last orb you would morph into an animalistic beast. This gameplay gimmick has become a staple in gaming history. Nobody could resist the appeal of going from a chiseled like Greek god one minute to being a monstrous werewolf the next. But it wasn't just werewolves or the ancient graveyards that players could make their stomping grounds. Level 2 took the protagonist down into a murky swamp-like cave full of all sorts of new creatures. Absorbing the third power orb morphs you into an electrified dragon. This dragon is the only beast that can fly as well as shock enemies into dust. The third level took place in a cavern littered with ant creatures and other foul beasts. Speaking of beasts, perhaps the most unintentionally hilarious of them all is the cuddly bear who resembled Smokey the Bear more than a ferocious animal. The bear had the ability to expel a Medusa-esque freeze that turned certain enemies into stone. Level 4 is held within lead villain Nef's palace. This area was mostly filled with previous monsters all thrown into one stage. The tiger beast here is similar to the werewolf of stage 1, only with the reverse dash attack. The final level, level 5, takes place in an underworld, and, well, we'll get back to that one later. At the end of every level is a boss fight with a transformed demon version of Nef. As you attack the creature, it turns various shades of red until ultimately being defeated. Then, a disembodied possible inspiration for Zordon-like head levitates, steals your power, and opens a portal enabling you to delve down into the next level. An image in a crystal ball reveals Zeus's daughter Athena with Nef himself before resuming gameplay in the next area. The second boss is an eyeball creature that is a strong candidate for the easiest boss of all time. Boss 3 is a bit tedious in nature, but after timing your bear jumps, you'll be able to defeat him with relative ease. The flying demon boss takes much more time than the others to defeat. If you're not carefully paying mind to the fireballs and little mini-dragons that swoop down, you'll risk losing a life, which almost means certain death in the insanely challenging final level. However, there exists a harder version of this game. Altered Beast on the Genesis has been altered a good deal from the arcade version. To experience the original game, you'll either need an arcade cabinet, a downloaded version, or a copy of Sonic's Ultimate Genesis collection.
Rise from your grave.
Right away, the vibrant colors and more detailed environments are noticeable. Additionally, there are sound effect and music changes and gruesome enhanced effects such as exploding body parts. Color palette changes such as the blue wolves now being white and improved shading enhance the game's whole look. It's a much easier on the eyes version of Altered Beast. The actual game is a bit faster paced than its Genesis counterpart, however. Everything about the arcade version feels better animated, smoother, and offers a big bowl of eye candy in every level. Powering up into a beast even has an actual morphing animation in the arcade version. And with more enemies and things to blow up on screen, this makes the beast portions even more fun and destructive to play through. Boss fights change too. Neff now grows tall after a hideous transformation sound, and the backgrounds turn into a grayscale while the sprites still remain in color. Sadly, what hurts this original edition is the clear fact that at the end of the day, it was designed to eat your quarters. This final level in particular is a complete and utter joke to get through in the arcade version. It's best to grab a friend for backup to try and beat this game. That also applies to the Genesis version. Altered Beast's multiplayer could perhaps be its saving grace. Without riffing on it with your buddies and using teamwork, it's just not quite as fun or enjoyable to play through solo. Be forewarned though, a selfish friend may steal your orbs and cause you to walk about in your loincloth while they tear it up as a badass beast.
Power up. Power up.
Altered Beast is not exactly the hardest game around, but it's one that will take a decent level of patience and repeat playthroughs to get through. Missing an orb one too many times will more or less seal your fate against Neff. And instead of walking away giving you another chance to power up, he'll eventually just decide to dismantle you as is.
Welcome to your doom.
And fighting Neff while a mere human is not something you'll want to do. Welcome to your doom, indeed. Codes exist to enable you to bring in any beast into any level. This can make a boss battle easier, or, more often than not, a greater challenge. Using a dragon to face the giant makes sense. Using Smokey the Bear to fight the eyeball monster does not. The final level is much easier if you become the extremely disappointing final beast, the Golden Werewolf. Seemingly out of ideas, Sega foamed it in with a color swap of the first beast in the graveyard stage. However, you can't complain too much since without this beast transformation in the first place, this final level is where it's located. Hell. The oddball enemies will jump back and forth, hit you low, and then they'll all gang up on you so you can't even reach your feet. The arcade version is twice as cheap, but at least you had unlimited continues in that version. Once you lose all your lives in the Genesis edition, it's back to the title screen. The last boss is a humanoid rhino that seems like it would have made a better candidate as a playable beast. He runs back and forth, and if you time your dash just right, he's a welcome breeze to get through. The Genesis version ends anticlimactically with a bird coming out of a beam of light. However, in the arcade version, Neff is first shown dying, and then after the fact, the bird comes out. Several humorous images play, and the credits roll, ending the game. You could do much worse than Altered Beast on the Genesis, but in time, it has more in common with Golden Axe than it does Streets of Rage, meaning Age has not done this short, repetitive, and fairly clunky game very well. The music and the ability to transform into beasts helps, but unless you have a friend who shares a mutual nostalgia, it's fairly unessential to play again.